So we understand that when the Minnesota Vikings extended Kirk Cousins to the 1 year, $35 million guaranteed extension, and also the no trade clause put back in there, it was controversial, right? So the Vikings, they just compounded the mistake of the 3 years, $84 million fully guaranteed deal in 2018, and then the 2 year, $66 million extension a couple years later, and then another $35 million fully guaranteed to Kirk Cousins, who just hoovering up all of the monies. I fully understand that. And on this channel, we do have a saying, do not let good be the enemy of great. But also, we have another saying, bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, because I understand the frustration of Kirk Cousins at times, especially 2018, especially 2019, where he was a garbage quarterback and it just didn't fit right with him, right? But let's remember, since the bye in 2020 as well as 2021, Kirk has played some of the best football of his career. I think you easily could say that he is a top 3, top 4 quarterback in the NFC. I think that you can certainly win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins if a lot of things go right around him. And I think with Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, that things are starting to get right around Kirk Cousins. So I understand why Kwesi, why Kevin O'Connell was like, hey, Kirk gives us the best chance to win games in the next 2 years. And just actions always speak louder than words. And you look at the actions of the Vikings by retaining Thielen, by retaining Daniil, by retaining Harrison Smith, by bringing in Zadarius Smith. The Vikings are in win now mode. They absolutely are. And I understand why they committed to Kirk Cousins, because who else were you going to get? That's always the logical question. It's like, hey, down with this person, down with this leader, but who are you going to get to replace him? Now, I do believe in Kellen Mond, except I'm not ready to throw him out there in year 2. And I don't know what Kwesi or Kevin O'Connell think about him either. They haven't even been on the same practice field with him. So we'll see. Rookie quarterback TBD in this draft, I don't know. Who are you going to take? Malik Willis? Sure. Kenny Pickett? Sure. Matt Corral? Sure. I mean, they all have potential, but can you say right now that they would give you the better chance to win over the next 2 years than with Kirk? I don't think you can, so I understand why the Vikings, again, went with a safe option. Plus, let's not forget quarterback purgatory, because, so I've been a Vikings fan since 98. Of course, the 98 Vikings were fantastic, but after the Vikings drafted Dante in 1999, and then he was playing great until he wrecked his knee, it's been just a gong show of quarterbacks. So you had Dante and also Gus Frerotte. You had the legendary Brad Johnson back for the second time with the Vikings. And then you had T-Jack, rest in power. Then you had Kelly Holcomb, Brooks Bollinger, Gus Frerotte for the second time for some reason, Bert Favre, which is a complete misnomer. 2009, legendary. 2010, not so much. You had Jumpin' Joe Webb, Blazer, amazing. And then you had Christian Ponder. That was a great pick. Fantastic. Also, Donovan McNabb starting 6 games that season. Then you had Matt Castle. And then, Josh Freeman. And then also, hey, Teddy. Didn't work out because Teddy's leg just completely fell off. And then Bradford, also knee injuries all over the place. Keenum had that one shining moment season. Wasn't going to be replicated. And then you brought in Kirk in 2018. So, again, Kirk can be frustrating. Kirk's contract can be an issue and a millstone. The Vikings are kicking the can down the road. Hashtag happens a myth. But what would you prefer? Go with the known suck, or the completely unknown, which could completely suck even worse? Because there are so many teams who, in a quiet moment, like if money was not an issue, would take Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. Probably 2/3 of the league. Certainly would take Kirk Cousins. If their objective was to win games this season or next season, over the next 2 years, 27 teams? No, that's a little bit less. Sorry, Charlie Murphy, I was having too much fun. I know 20, 22, 23 teams would take Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. So I think as Vikings fans, we just got used to Kirk. We just got used to kicking him around. Whenever there's any minor mistake, whether it's his fault or not, it's like, they're just piling on Kirk Cousins, because we just got so used to it. There's so much inertia when it comes to hating on Kirk Cousins. But I understand. I understand why Kwesi's like, hey, he's going to be our guy, and we have to extend him so that we can get some cap relief this year, so we can assemble this team around him. And Kevin O'Connell, before last season, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins were the same guy. Giant stat stuffers who never won games because of whatever was around him. Stafford maybe a little bit more of a gunslinger. But then you put Stafford with one of the greatest offensive minds in NFL history and Sean McVay, nailed it, and also get a ton of talent around him. Solid offensive line, great receivers, and then look, they got it done. Also great defense on the other side of the ball. Kevin O'Connell is trying to do the same damn thing. You already got playmakers at receiver. You already have an offensive line that's starting to come together very nicely. That defense is going to be sexy AF. Well, it can't be any worse than the last 2 years. I understand that's a very dangerous thing to say as a Vikings fan, but I think that Kevin O'Connell 100% thinks that he could pull a Matthew Stafford with Kirk Cousins this year and over the next 2 years. And again, we could certainly go into the depths. Like the Vikings could have traded Kirk to the Browns. Maybe they probably wouldn't have been in on Deshaun. They probably wouldn't have been on Russell Wilson. And what? I mean, they signed Mariota, fine. And then what? What do you do? Mariota, Malik Willis, maybe he busts. Kenny Pickett, maybe he busts. Matt Corral, maybe he busts. Whatever. And then you just have this cycle. Because if you spend a first-round pick on a quarterback, you can't give up after a year, unless you're the Cardinals and Josh Rosen. And then, so you have to give him 2-3 years. And it's like, oh, what if he sucks over the next 2-3 years? So you already put the franchise behind those next couple years. And then this window to win, that closes as some of these veterans age out. So, yes, ride, maybe die with Kirk, or maybe, just maybe, this damn thing could succeed. I guess we'll find out. But your thoughts are thoughts. Kirk Cousins, bird in the hand versus two in the bush. Yes. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.